Tonight, we're really going places, places we think are kind of interesting or unusual. Now, some of them you can walk right into yourself, others we can get you into. But before we go exploring, we have a different kind of a story. It also has to do with a place and a time, but it's really the story about a person, a young man, who, like many in his generation, was called upon to do a difficult job. Ruth Ezell has more of your stories of World War II.
I had finished medical school the year the war began, and I'd carefully saved the month of December to come home, and it was the first time I'd been home in 2 years. And I picked up a soldier on my way back. It was on Sunday, and I asked the soldier if he were going to Leonard Wood, and he said yes. He said the Japanese bombed Pearl Harbor, and I didn't even know where Pearl Harbor was.
Dr. James Eugene Lewis of Mountain Grove, Missouri in the Ozarks, and a graduate of Harvard Medical School, would learn a lot about geography, war, and medicine as a surgeon in the Army.
I joined the Army right away, and the Army assured me that I'd be allowed to have a year of training after I graduated. That was our biggest worry, was that we'd be yanked into the Army without any official surgical training.
First Lieutenant Lewis received more than a year of surgical training in the States before he shipped out to Europe. That period included a stint at O'Reilly General Hospital in Springfield, Missouri, one of 44 temporary Army General Hospitals established during the war. There, the young doctor performed plastic surgeries on severely wounded and burned soldiers who fought in the African theater.
Then I was sent to a field unit, so I really had no field experience at all. I didn't really know what I was going to do in the war when I got down to field unit, and I was assigned to the 24th Evacuation Hospital, Mobile it was called, and I didn't even know what it was we were supposed to do.
He began to find out after he crossed the Atlantic and arrived in London, where he was taught how to manage casualties and especially how to treat shock. At the time, London was a city under siege by German bombing raids.
It wouldn't get dark in London until they were on double summer time, and it'd get dark around 11 o'clock at night. And that's the time the German planes would come in and bomb London. So I'd had some experience with warfare to that extent.
Lieutenant Lewis's skills were finally tested in the field during a crucial turning point in the war, the Normandy invasion.
The Texas and the California battleships, I remember, escorted us up the channel. By the time we arrived there, it was D+6, so we missed the acute fighting. I went ashore and was sent down to the 51st Evacuation Hospital, which was near Carentan. And that was the Utah Beach area that was being serviced there. About 3 or 4 of us went there to work, and all hell seemed to break loose, you know, the shells and the gunfire and the noise, and a plane crashed and lit up the sky. It was all. But I didn't feel like I was there. I thought I was kind of looking at it all. It wasn't a personal thing to me at all.
So you were kind of able to emotionally remove yourself while focusing on your job?
Well, I didn't try to. You were just observing all this, and it seemed so unreal that I didn't seem to be a part of it.
The wounded usually arrived by jeep and would be categorized based on their immediate needs.
Are they in shock? Do they need shock treatment, or can they go to the operating room for surgery? And surgery was expedient. We did what was necessary. No one tried to be very fancy. We tried to leave wounds that were dirty open so that they would not get infected. We had so many amputations during the war because the low trajectory machine gun fire would shatter the limbs. I found that many of the young men who had lost their limbs were very disturbed about how their wives were going to react to this, or their family, and so forth. And so when we would have a break, I sent letters to the family and told them about that they were okay and how they were getting along and so forth. And I had wonderful letters back from the family. I wish I'd saved some of them. They assured me that these boys were going to be all right at home and so forth. And I'm quite certain that it sort of prepared them for it.
When necessary, blood plasma is administered in the ambulance plane.
Dr. Lewis says the war taught physicians the best ways to use blood in the treatment of casualties, and it ushered in the widespread use of penicillin. His wartime work also inspired an idea that would evolve into a cornerstone of major American hospitals.
I was talking about what we call an intensive care unit now, but my idea was to put all the serious post-operative patients in one area where we could take care of them so you didn't have to run around and check on them.
The lieutenant's unit moved 3 times in Normandy, took in a total of 7,000 casualties, and performed 3,000 operations. During its entire tour in Europe, the 24th Evacuation Hospital's mortality rate was less than 2%. After the war, now Captain Lewis was assigned to the White House as personal physician to President Harry Truman. The doctor was a major when he returned to civilian life. He settled in St. Louis in 1950 when Cardinal Glennon Children's Hospital was being built. Dr. Lewis became chief of surgery there and retired in 1982. He's been a witness to and participant in a lot of medical history, including what took place during his service in the military.
I was just a very fortunate young man to be involved in a place where I could do some good.